The Model Shop live scale modeling show is brought to you by Tenant Controls, makers of lighting kits, soundboards, and more. Tenant Controls brings your models to life. And by HDA ModelWorks, suppliers of scale model lighting products, detail parts, and complete model kits. Visit HDAModelWorks.com today. Well, good evening, everybody. Hello, and welcome to the Model Shop Live Scale Modeling Show. I'm your host, Boyd Crompton. Great to be back with you guys this week. We've been off the last couple of weeks. Had a little bit of a little flu bug I was battling here, and I'm feeling much better now. I thank you guys all for the well wishes on that. And then I hope you guys all had a really nice Thanksgiving this week. We had a great one here ourselves. But it's great to be back in the saddle again this week with you guys, and we've got a nice little show and story for you tonight. We're going to kick off tonight with our usual. We're going to head over to our model shop community and have a look at what's going on over there. We've got a lot of activity going on. We've got a lot of pretty cool model kit builds going on in progress. But we've just kicked off this weekend our model shop community group build for the winter of this year, and we decided to go with the subject of Star Wars, so it's going to be pretty fun and pretty exciting. Looks like a lot of people are interested in that particular subject, so we've got some people already starting on posting updates on their builds. So kind of related to that, tonight we're going to come back a little bit later and show you some LED lighting tips and tricks for lighting this big Star Destroyer kit from Revell at 1/2700 scale, originally put out by the Russian company Zvezda. That's the kit that I'm going to be building here in the shop for the Star Wars group build. So I've got some little plans that I've made for doing some lighting on that, and I'll share that with you guys. Some of you out there that are new to doing LED lighting can pick up a few tips and tricks on that. And then I want to make a couple of shout outs tonight before we get going. There's some other activities going on around the modeling community. I've got these written down on my list here next to me. We have Kenny over at Sci-Fi Fantasy doing the Model of the Year contest. That's a really exciting contest that takes place every year right around this time of the year. I believe it runs from now until the 1st of January, or maybe around the first week of January, where they have the final judging. I'm going to, let's see if I can do this without messing this up. I'm going to bring up Kenny's Sci-Fi Fantasy page here. and we'll have a look. You can see Kenny's got a really nice little website here. This is a really nice community. If you guys out there haven't joined this community, I highly recommend it. There's a lot of really interesting stuff going on over here. I've mentioned this several times. You can find all kinds of news articles about scale modeling, mostly oriented around sci-fi, but there's lots of cool stuff on here, lots of different categories. But you'll see Kenny's got all these articles on here posted from different modelers. There's updates on new kits coming out, products that are coming out here. We see we've got one on the photo etch set for the 1701A Enterprise model kit, cargo box photo etch set for the shuttle bay on that same model. A lot of people feature their work over here on this page, so there's some really cool stuff going on. But you can head over here, and if you're not already a member, you can easily join. You just click on the various tabs up here at the top. You'll find the area where you can get in and become a member. It's very easy. You just register by email, and you get a confirmation from Kenny, and then you'll be in. You can join the forum. They've got a forum going on over there, so you can comment. But more importantly, you'll be able to vote when the Model of the Year contest actually gets up in full gear and they start having their final voting. And then also you can enter the contest yourself if you're building a sci-fi model, or if you've built one in the recent past. You can go over there and also find out what, up here in this area up here, what all the rules are for that, and you can find out all the details about that. Or if you don't quite understand what that is, I'm sure you can get a hold of Kenny and you can get all that worked out. He's got certain specifications for if you're going to enter a model, the way he wants it photographed and things like that, and the category it needs to be put in. So I hope you'll check that out. It's a really great website, and Kenny always does a really good job running that. I also want to mention, let me get back on my regular screen here. I also want to mention that the Dirk Pitt and Chris Cortell of Classic Plastic 101 are doing their annual Tom Daniel group build again this year. That's one of my favorites. I've taken place in that in the last couple of years. I think I built the, I'm trying to remember what I built. I built the Rommel's Rod one year, and last year I built the Cop Out. Those are both Tom Daniel kits. And I've got a kit that I picked out for this year. It's the vintage Fire Iron kit by Tom Daniel. I just picked this one up off of eBay a couple of days ago. So part of what we're going to be doing on the bench tonight too is we're going to take and show you guys a out-of-the-box kind of reveal of this kit. It's a pretty cool old kit. It's got a lot of detail on it. It's kind of an old fire truck that's been souped up like a hot rod. Got a lot of detail and interesting features on it. So that's the kit that I'm going to be building for the Tom Daniel group build this year. We'll have a look at that in just a little bit. So before we get going any further, let's head over to our Model Shop community page and have a look what's going on over there. A lot of activity. We just finished up. We came off of our Halloween group build. We had a great time on that. We did our the Halloween Spooktacular show. We had a great time with that and put together that slideshow and had a lot of really beautiful model builds for that. So when we finish up our Star Wars group build, which is going to run through February, I wanted to run that one a little bit longer because a lot of people are going to be doing, big kits with lighting and a whole bunch of stuff like that. So we wanted to give everybody plenty of time to be able to finish their kits. But we're going to do a nice presentation on that when we're all through there too. I'll put together a nice slideshow and we'll have a special show when we run that, and it'll be all about the Star Wars group build that night. But let's check out the Model Shop Google community page. Here you can see up at the right hand corner I've got this pinned at the top. If you want to come over to our site, if you haven't been here before, it's called the Model Shop on the Google community. And I think, yeah, we're up to about 970 members now. We got a lot of real nice friendly people in our group, and always a lot of interesting model kit building going on. But here up in the right hand corner you can see I've got our announcement of our Star Wars group build. I've got that pinned, so if you head over there you can see all the details on that. Pretty straightforward. It's not any kind of a contest or anything like that. We're just having fun, and just pick yourself out a Star Wars kit and start building it. Just start posting some pictures here, updates of your build as it's going along, and we'll all be following it and checking it out, and it'll be really fun. Another thing that I forgot to mention here at the top was that I'm going to be hosting several hangouts. We used to do a lot of live hangouts we're going to start doing some live hangouts on the TrekWorks, excuse me, TrekWorks YouTube channel. All throughout the Star Wars group build, I'm gonna host those on Saturday nights at 7 o'clock Central, USA Central Time, starting, and they'll run until whatever time we feel like shutting it off, whenever we get tired of it at night. So, we're also going to be running the live chat session with that. So, if you want to just kind of hang along and watch and join the chat while we're all in there talking about building models, you can do that. That'll be a lot of fun. So look forward to that. I'm going to put up some information here real soon on the page here itself, announcing when the schedule for that will be. I think the first one I'm going to start maybe not this Saturday, but the Saturday after that. So that should be a lot of fun. And we used to do a lot of hangouts. So anybody, it's open for anybody that's out there that's building a model kit for the Star Wars group build. Because what the object of it is what we go in there and we while we're working on our kits that night or whatever, and we give a little update to everybody about what we're doing and how far we've gotten on our build, and sharing some tips and information about how we're what we're doing to it, whether we're using special parts, photo etch, lighting, or anything like that, or just different tips and tricks that you want to share with everybody. So that'll be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to that. So if you guys are interested in joining that, I'll put the information up on the schedule there, and I'll have a link that we'll be able to send out to everybody. I don't like to post that in the general forum because we can get just anybody joining in. They might not even be modelers or whatever. So we'll make sure that only the people that wanted to take part in the hangouts can get in. So we'll figure out a way to make that work. But look for more information on that. But we have a lot of activity going on the Google Shop Model Shop page, like usual. Here we have Thomas Johnson working on the 1/1000 scale Polar Lights Enterprise kit. He says this is the second pilot version of that. So let's have a look at some of the pictures that Thomas has posted here. Really beautiful looking model. I'm a really big fan of the 1/1000 scale Enterprise kits. I think they're really, really nice. And you've got several other kits that are available from AMT Round 2 that are in the same scale. So from the original series and some of the movie edition models and all that. So it's a really good scale to work with. They don't take up a lot of room. As you can see, you do a little bit of work to these and they turn out really, really nice. And on this particular Enterprise kit, it comes with the parts to be able to build either the first, second pilot version or the standard production version that we were used to seeing. So it's a really nice kit in that manner. You can see he's got the there's some subtle differences on the original first and second pilot Enterprises versus the production version. These manifolds here on the warp engine nacelles were slightly different. You can see the raised, more pronounced dome on the bridge, and larger deflector dish and things like that. Some of these markings that you see around the saucer area and on the hull are a little bit different. Just some subtle little things, but made it interesting. Of course, these kind of rocket engine looking exhausts, which were actually one of my favorite. I wish they would have kept those, but they were changed to the kind of the globes that were mounted on the back there later on. But I always thought that version there looked pretty nice. And he's got some nice detailed pictures of his model here. Looks great. Great job on it, Robert. Or Thomas, I'm sorry. It's Thomas Johnson. So we go back, and I think just below this one, Thomas has got another version of the Enterprise. He's got all three of them on here, so we'll get to take a look at all three of them. He's got, this one is the first pilot edition. As you can see, again, it's a little bit different. It has a large deflector dish, these unique Bassard domes with the spikes on the front, and of course these little markings here are different again. Some of the colors that were used on the original ship were a little bit different. You had this sort of Federation duck egg blue color up here on the top of the spine, on the top of the saucer. The neck was painted a little bit different. They're just some, like I said, some subtle little things, but Thomas looks like he's got all those details in this. Painted on really nice. And they come on these nice posable stands. And here we can see the different uh, caps at the end of the nacelles, again, that were different yet. There was 3 different versions. These were kind of my least favorite ones. They didn't really have a lot of detail on them. But he's got, you can see it had some different configurations as far as the window ports were concerned too. A little bit less on the saucer and on the neck and stuff like that. But another beautiful build. And then I think this one is the one that everyone's pretty familiar with here. Well, he's got it sitting compared to the standard production version, which you can see it's more of a it's a little bit different color too. They added some weathering and stuff to it, so he's got that represented here. And the famous rust ring on the top of the saucer. And during the production a little bit later on, of course, we all familiar with these lighted facade domes that rotated, which weren't on the original ship. That obviously added a lot of pizzazz to the model and gave you that illusion that there was some powerful fusion energy going on inside of those giant warp nacelles. So he's done a beautiful job on this model. A little bit of weathering there. There are many aftermarket photo etch kits and different um, lighting kits and all kinds of cool stuff for those little 1/1000 scale kits. So, and they're a good bargain, fairly reasonably priced. Looks like we've got Armando Della Cabana that just posted some details about his project that he's going to be building for the Star Wars group build here. He's going to be doing a diorama. This should be pretty cool. I talked to Armando about this. He's going to be doing a diorama that was from The Force Awakens, of that scene where the Millennium Falcon's being pursued by a couple of TIE fighters, and it's skimming along over the desert sand, and it's kind of just barely, at one point it actually scrapes on the sand a little bit, and he's going to try and recreate that scene. So that'll be really cool to see that. Looking forward to seeing that one. Again, with these group builds, we get all kinds of really fascinating ideas that people come up with. So it's always fun to follow along and check out everybody's creativity. That's one of my favorite parts about it. Here we have not a Star Wars subject, but Mike Kovac has just finished up his cancer awareness build. And this is the classic, I think this is an AMT kit. I can't be totally sure, but this is the old Ford Police Interceptor model kit. It's been repopped fairly recently, so you can find that kit. It was always a great old kit, a lot of detail on it. And here's a few shots of the model. I think it's a 1969 or 70 Ford Galaxy or LTD, if I'm not mistaken. But it comes with a lot of really cool police gear and everything. It's got the old style police hubcaps and all that. And these decals that Mike's got on here might be custom decals. I don't think these come with the kit. I could be wrong though, but looks great, Mike. It says Galaxy 500 on the back, so I think it's a 69 or 70 model. And it's actually pretty hard to find model kits of four-door sedan type cars. This is kind of one of the more rare kits. Great looking body style. Some nice shots of the model from all sides there. Good job on that, Mike. Looks like Detonator 24 is doing a diorama of some kind, maybe a military type diorama. He's got some sandbags there, and looks like he's working with some military figures in 1/35th scale, so that's interesting. Mark Shu working on his R2 detail, 1/2 scale. DeAugustini R2D2, that's a fantastic model kit that you have to pick up in a little bit at a time by joining their magazine subscription, where you receive parts to this model a little bit at a time with each issue that you get until you finally get them all. Couldn't tell you how long it takes, but it's one heck of a kit when it's all finished up. They've got several Star Wars subjects and several other subjects that they've put out over the years, and they're really fantastic. You can see it's got lighting and all kinds of stuff that it comes with. Beautiful detail up here on the dome. They're absolutely fantastic kits when they're finished. So Mark's got that going on. And Mark is going to be building the 144 scale The Force Awakens Millennium Falcon. Looks like the same kit that Armando's working with the photo etch set. So we'll look forward to watching that one come together. Heath Tompkins is working on an A4E Skyhawk in 148 scale, and also the Lotus 99T. I think that's a Formula One race car. Scott Thompson working on the War Machine, Iron Man War Machine model kit, doing lighting and everything like that. T Commando here is working on an Enterprise NX-01. I think this is the, I'm pretty sure this is the 1/350 scale. And it's nice, always nice to see that kit getting built up. That's one of my favorite kits too. Let's roll on down and see what else we've got going on. We've got Don Gilchrist building some type of a tank there. And then we've got some spam that we'll have to get rid of, typical on your usual websites. Then we have Paul Reese doing the Grand Moff Tarkin, which I think is pretty cool. This is a resin figure. Let's have a look at this. I looked at this a few days ago, and I'm really impressed with the likeness of Peter Cushing on this particular kit. That looks spot on to him. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one come together. Looks like he's just about ready to get to the painting stage there. He's got all of his putty work done and most of the assembly work done on the figure. I'm not sure where he got that. Maybe some people are asking here. I'd like to have that kit myself. Might have to ask him where he got that. Then we have Calvin Sweet working on the MPC, the old school MPC Star Destroyer kit. I believe that kit came out when they first produced The Empire Strikes Back, and people over the years complained that it wasn't very accurate. You know, there wasn't a lot of detail on these side panels. So what Calvin's been doing is going in and talking about. He's also putting out videos on this model on his YouTube channel, where he's talking about how he's doing all this. He's just taking little bits and pieces of sprue and different little greelies here and there from used model kit parts and stuff like that, and adding them on to give the model a little bit more detail. And then he did a modification there at the nose to make that look a little bit more accurate. And you can see this is the kit that he's working with here. As I said, this is the old MPC kit, which you can still find these, and they're pretty good size. It's not as big as the Zvezda kit or the new Revell 12700 kit. I'm not sure what scale this is, but it's still a pretty good size kit, and you can find these things for pretty cheap. So if you don't want to spring for the big 2700 scale, which it's kind of expensive, but it also takes up a lot of room. If you don't have a lot of room in your model display area, you can find one of these smaller kits. There are several choices out there for Star Destroyer kits. There's some new Bandai kits that are much smaller and everything, and so you got a lot of choices there. And just Star Wars in general, we thought the Star Wars subject would be a good one for our group build this time around, because there's been all these new Bandai kits that have been released and all the old kits that are out there. You have a lot to choose from, and a lot of them aren't very expensive, and some of them don't take that much time either. So if you don't have a lot of modeling time, you can still find something that you can work with, hopefully, and just join in and have fun. Here's one of the Rob Pauza. I believe this is the big I think this is the big Star Destroyer kit. I'm not too sure. Let's have a look at this. It may be the smaller one. It may be the... Yeah, it's... Well, I can't really tell. It may be the smaller snap-together one. I'm not too sure. It's hard to tell the scale on it, and I don't think he said in his description there, but either way, no, I think it is the bigger one. But several people are going to be building this kit, so I'm looking forward to following along and getting some tips and tricks from other people on what they're doing with theirs as I go along with mine. You can see, yeah, I think this is the new kit, the big kit, and you can see this kit is just phenomenal. Look at all the detail on this kit, all these panel lines, and it's considered to be very, very accurate too, so it's a great kit. Looking forward to getting started on that. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Chuck Brooks is also building that large Revell or Zvezda kit. Some more progress. T Commando working with his NX-01, doing all his interior lighting. Steve F is working on this. I think this is some kind of old, early Ford, 1930s Ford coupe. Let's have a look here. And he's using a double engine setup, it looks like, of some kind that he's custom putting together there. That's the old either 348 or 409 Chevrolet engine. You can tell by these unique valve covers. He's starting to work on the suspension there a little bit. That should be pretty interesting to see that when that comes together. And as you can see, we've got all kinds of interests for our members here as far as what we see getting built over here. We've got cars, we've got sci-fi, we've got armor, we've got figures, a little bit of everything. Here's an update from our good friend Scott Hatchett, Aussie Trekkie from the land down under. Scott's been doing, in the last couple of years, been doing a lot of scale warship modeling, and he's working with the large scale stuff, the 200 scale, 350 scale. He's been working on a Bismarck in 200 and 350. He's been working on these large 172 scale Revell German U-boat kits as well. Several. I think he just finished up or is currently working on a 200 scale USS Missouri. So he's always got some cool stuff going on his YouTube channel. It's just called Aussie Trekkie if you want to head over there and check that out. He's been taking you through these step by step in meticulous detail, working with all the, showing you how to work with all these photo etch detail parts, how to do weathering. If you're interested in these kind of models, you'll learn a lot by checking out that channel if you're new to it. So I highly recommend that as well. And you can see this is turning out really nice, and the level of detail that Scott puts in these is phenomenal. He takes his time. It might take him a year to build this model, but you'll see every aspect of the model coming together for those of you that are really into getting every detail and finding out every detail about it going together. It's a great channel to watch, so I highly recommend that. That's coming along really nice. And you can see Scott's he's got quite a large assortment of videos from past builds that you can go back and check out over there too. Have some information here about some parts from, I'm trying to see who this is from, Yahoo Models, Yahoo or something like that, or Yahoo. This is for the 148 scale Messerschmitt BF-109G. Not sure if it's made for a specific brand of kit. It might fit in a lot of the different 148 scale BF-109 kits, but here you can see they've got these new completely detailed instrument panel clusters for these scale model airplanes now, which adds ultra level of detail to your model kit. And they're very authentic to the original, taken from the original plans and everything, so these are pretty cool. I know they have a lot of different versions of those out there for all kinds of different airplanes. This is a Lotus model kit that Heath Tompkins is working on. John Hunt just finished up the Space Battleship Yamato kit. I think this is a 1/500 scale. I could be mistaken. These come in so many different scales it's hard to tell, but you can see he's got some lighting going on there. I built a couple of these in 1/350 scale, and these are always fun to build. I just love this design. It's a incredibly popular subject over in Japan and over here as well. So they have so many versions of this kit out now. I've lost track of all of them. I remember when there was only just a couple, but you can see he's done some lighting on this one up in the conning tower there. And this, I forgot what they call this now, but this is capable of blowing up entire planets. It's some type of a cannon, and it also has a star drive at the rear that lights up. So that's pretty nifty. Ken Zimmerman working on the new Bondi Perfect Grade 172 Millennium Falcon. Everybody's really excited about that when that kit just started shipping. People are starting to get them. Not for the faint of heart as far as price goes, but they are, the word's getting out that they are. It's just an absolutely fantastic model kit, and it's of the same quality or even better than the original fine molds kit that's highly coveted. The original 172 fine molds kit, which I've had one of those sitting on my shelf forever that I need to get around to building. I almost picked that one for my group build, but that kit to me takes months and months and months to finish it to be able to do it right, and I decided on the Star Destroyer kit instead because it doesn't have quite all those tiny little hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of detail parts that need to go on it. Here we had our happy Thanksgiving wishes for everybody. Lee Chambers working on an over-the-road truck from Italari. I think that's how you pronounce them. T Commando working on the NX-01. Some pictures here of a model that I gotta go back and see who this was that posted this. Aircool was working on this model, and he picked up some weathering and rusting techniques. I happened to see a video related to this on YouTube called Rusting Techniques and Weathering Using Rock Salt. And it's a really fascinating video. They're basically what a lot of these people are doing now is they're working with, you basically go on your model here and you brush on or spray on your basic rust color that you see underneath of all this, and then you take some hairspray, basic hairspray out of a can, and you either spray it on or brush it on, however you choose, and then you apply your paint, acrylic type paints over the top of it, and then you just start taking some, a brush or a Q-tip or different kinds of tools, and you just start dabbing away at it with a little bit of water, and the hairspray underneath of it starts to break up a little bit, and you start getting chunks of the paint coming off, revealing the rust underneath, and therefore giving you this really ultra realistic looking chipping and rusting and weathering effect that you see on realistic real cars sitting in that have been fallen into disrepair and things like that, and it's just incredible, and it works out fantastic. You combine that with some other kinds of weathering that you can do, and you get that ultra realistic look. He's done a fantastic job on this. If you remember, if you've ever been to a junkyard and you've seen old cars, you even see how I loved how he has this effect here where around the edges of the glass, you see where on really old cars it starts to stain and turn yellow and get these little blotches in it. That's because back in the old days they used to do, the glass on the cars used to have two layers. It was laminated. It would actually be two pieces of glass that were glued together. And so in between the two pieces of glass, that glue starts to go bad over time and turn yellow and lose its original form, and that's why all this stuff starts to form inside there, especially it usually starts out around the edges and works its way all the way across, but he's even got that detail in there. So that's really fantastic. And you can see, if somebody didn't tell you that this was a model, you'd believe that was a real car that you were looking at. That's how realistic that weathering can look. So it's got me inspired to build some kind of a junkyard scene at some point. I'm sure everybody out there has got some old model car parts, a couple old bodies and stuff like that you're missing parts for it and stuff that you'll never build as a 100% car again. So this is those are perfect to use for a project like this. Just a whole lot of fun. You can see he's got the spare parts laying in the back seat, and he took the detail all the way to the interior with the upholstery coming apart and the sun fading and the whole 9 yards. So it's really, really cool, and you can have a lot of fun with that. He's got it on the bottom where it's starting to get rust holes in it, and that poor old VW needs a lot of work to be brought back, but pretty cool. And it just keeps evolving and evolving. It's not if you're new to modeling, it's or even if you're returning to modeling from years ago, you'll be amazed at all the modern and new techniques that people can keep coming up with all the time. It just never stops. It never ceases to amaze me. And that's why these communities are great, because this is where you find out all this kind of information that you would have never been able to find, before we had the internet. So it's great. Here we have Rob Pauza with his X-Wing. This is probably one of the newer Bondi kits, or it might be a Revell. I wanted to share this one with you guys. Paul Reese's Death Dealer. This is one of the most beautiful jobs I've ever seen done on this model. He just did a fantastic job. I've seen some nice ones out there, but this one is really nice. I think the paint work he did on this model is fantastic. The subtle shading of the colors on the horse. A lot of people do the horse in black, which I think is nice, but to do it in a little bit different color so that you could challenge yourself a little bit more with doing all these various shades that you need to do to show the shadowing and everything, where with black you don't need that. It'll hide a lot of that, but he chose this brown color, and I think it really offsets the rest of the colors and everything that he's got going on here, and it's just beautiful work. You look at these up-close shots and you can just see all the detail that's in this model kit. It's a fantastic kit to start with, but if you do a really nice paint job on it, it really is something else. And you can see all the details here, even down here with these chains coming off of the saddle and the detail of the armor and everything that the figure is wearing. It's just an awesome model kit. And you can see Paul is obviously a very experienced figure painter. He's got the look of like real ivory going on these tusks here on the helmet, and I have to say it's one of the most beautiful builds I've seen of that model ever. It's just a really fantastic job. So thanks for sharing that with us, Paul. Paul had some beautiful models that he shared with us for our Halloween group build as well. Let's see. And we've been at this for about 30 or 40 minutes, so we'll just show you a few more here and then we'll move along. Go down here a little bit. Said we've been away for a couple of weeks, so we got a lot going on here on the page since our last update. Mike Scroll built this beautiful little Herbie the Love Bug. I think this was based off the Polar Lights kit, and he did a couple modifications to it to make it look a little bit better. So if you come by our page, you can have a look at that. Did a beautiful job on that. Lee Chambers is going to be doing the Fine Molds Slave 1 Boba Fett ship for our Halloween group, or our Star Wars group build. I'm still stuck on Halloween, sorry guys. Our roving reporter Gadgetron 3000 put a little update here that Round 2 Models is going to be releasing a pre-built the large scale Eagle kit. I'm not sure what scale this is. It's it's 22 inches long, 148 scale I guess it is, of a pre-built Eagle. And for those of you who aren't model builders and just collectors, this is definitely for you. This is absolutely beautiful. You can see all the detail on this, and it's very accurate to the original show. It actually has working spring type landing gear pads on it, just like the original filming miniature did. Just a beautiful display piece. And from what I was reading on the details about it, it's made out of ABS plastic instead of styrene, so it's probably going to be a little bit sturdier than a regular model kit too. So if you just want something for display, I don't think it has any kind of lighting or anything on it, but still, for a static display piece, you can see the detail that they put into this here, and it's beautiful. I have one of these kits. I'm going to be building my own. A lot of people would rather, a lot of us here are regular modelers and we'd rather build this, but like I said, some people they don't have time or they don't have space to work on models and they still want to collect. And these are, I think it's really great that they put stuff out like this for people who, they want to have this stuff just as bad as the rest of us do that actually build models. So I think it's great that they have this stuff available. This is a great shot here. You can remove the command module assembly there and look, and you can see the detail of the pilot and co-pilot on the inside, which is really cool. And this is how it comes in its shipping package, which that looks pretty high quality as well. So it's not cheap. I think it retails for over $200, but when you consider the original filming miniature, which was the same scale, probably cost several $1,000s even back in the 70s for them to build. That's actually a pretty good bargain. So there's that. Let's roll down here one more time and then we'll wrap it up here. See if we can find a couple more ongoing projects. Lee Chambers just finished up this Mercedes AMG G13. So you can come over to the page and check that out if you want to see that. He's got some nice pictures of that done in kind of a carbon fiber type finish. This was an interesting one. This one's by our good friend Omar, who's been a long time member here. This is the original Leif Erikson. If you guys remember the old AMT Leif Erikson model kit, which many people don't know, that's actually a Matt Jeffries design. And if you're a Star Trek fan, you definitely have heard of Matt Jeffries, who designed the Enterprise, the Klingon, several of the other Star Trek, the interior design of the bridge from the original television series. Well, this is actually a Matt Jeffries design. And they had talked about, you might have actually seen this ship on a later episode of Star Trek to represent maybe either a Federation ship we had not seen yet or an alien ship of some kind. Because he was actually working on this design as far as back as the original Star Trek. You can do a little bit of research and find out all the information on it, but it's a really cool design, and it's got an interesting sort of an open cargo bay that you can see Omar's holding up there, and the little scout ship that goes inside there. So they repopped this kit fairly recently, so it's readily available. The original kits, until that kit was repopped, were becoming quite valuable because for some reason the kit never really caught on. Back when they used to have it on the shelf at the same time that they had the old original AMT kits in the small boxes of the Star Trek stuff, and you'd always see that Leif Erikson kit there with it, and not too many people bought it. The kids just they just really wanted the Star Trek stuff, and so the kit had become quite rare, and whenever they would pop up on eBay or places like that, they went for a lot of money. So it's been repopped now, though, so you can find it at a pretty affordable price. So I'm hoping to grab one of those one day myself and just keep it in the stash and get around to building it. Maybe get some ideas from what Omar does with his. But that's definitely one that I want to have, being a big fan of Matt Jeffries. Here's a couple different scale Space Battleship Yamatos. TIE Fighter kit. And I believe this is Scott Thompson's working on this for his Star Wars group build, the old MPC Darth Vader kit. As I said, we've got a lot of seem to have a lot of interest in the Star Wars group build, so we're all just kind of getting it kicked off here. We started this weekend. Okay, guys, well, I think that's a good little update for catching you up a little bit on what's going on over at the forum. I'm going to take a quick little break here. When we come back, let's see. Let's do the out of the box kit review first on the classic Tom Daniel Fire Iron kit. This little kit right here. We'll come back and have a look at that, and then we'll go from there. And I'll bring the big. Which side is it on? This side. We'll bring out the big Revell 1/2700 scale Star Destroyer kit. We'll pop a few parts out of the box, and I'm going to start talking a little bit about my plans for doing my lighting on that. And some of you guys out there who have never lit any models before can probably pick up a few tips and tricks on that. And I'm going to use a really simple lighting technique on this one that you can do quite easily. So we'll be back with everything in just a second. Stand by, everybody. Okay, everybody, well, we're back with you again, and here is a really cool old model kit. This is the Fire Iron kit by Monogram Models. This is a classic, as it says in the box, Tom Daniel design. I had seen pictures of this kit. It's kind of funny, as a kid, I thought I had seen all of the Tom Daniel model kits on the shelves that we all remember from back in the 70s. And like a lot of guys that grew up in that period of time, I built, I thought, pretty much every Tom Daniel kit that was out there. But this is a kit that I had never seen before. And I actually, when I heard the news that they were going to be doing another Tom Daniel group build again this year, I went online and just did a Google search for Tom Daniel kits. And I started going through their um, the pictures of all the various kits that were out there, and I saw this kit, and I was like, wow. I mean, it grabbed my eye right away. I really think this is a cool subject, and like I suspected, it's pretty hard to find. I had tried several eBay auctions and lost over the last month or so, and finally was able to get this one. And I actually got this one at a really good price. Somebody actually put it on there on the with the buy it now option on it, and I got it at a really good price, much lower than I saw some of the other kits go for. And this was actually still sealed in the plastic too, so I was really happy to get it. It's been reproduced several times. I think it originally came out around 1971. I think when I looked up some information about this kit was the first time it was ever released, and it was originally called the Firecracker. And the only difference in the two kits was that the Firecracker had really wide front tires on it with like deep dish rims like it has here on the back. And I thought that version looked a little bit silly because they still had the skinny fenders up in front, but the front tires and the wheels stuck out like way far outside the fenders. And I like this version of the model kit better. So they released it again and made a few changes to the kit, and then they called it the Fire Iron instead. I couldn't tell you what year they did that. It might have been around 73 or 76. And then the kit was repopped again around 1991. This particular kit I have says 1997 on it, and I think that I don't think it's been released since then. They may still have the mold. They may repop this kit again at some point in the future, but It's a really, really cool kit, and it's a kind of a 1912 design old fire truck that's been converted into a hot rod. They put a V8 engine in it and put the big tires in the back, and you can see you've got the headers here that are actually fire hoses with connectors on them, and you got all your classic firefighting tools, your fire axe, your large water hose. You got a pump, big water pump mechanism, and what I really like about the kit is these plated parts are all done in a gold or brass effect, and it's a really detailed kit too. You get all the gauges and the all the little, even on the other side, which they don't depict here, but on the model kit on the other side on the running board, there's a little toolbox that you could take the lid off of, and there's all the tools inside of it. So it's a great little kit, and if you want to do a lot of detail, you can have a lot of fun with this. The ladder on the top actually kind of moves a little bit and swings, and the little side ladder on the other side here is removable. So it's a great kit. Here's a picture of the side profile of it. And it's got an old school chain drive, like typical a lot of the Tom Daniel, I think the beer wagon and some of his other kits had that kind of design on it. So it's a really nifty kit. So let's pop it out of the box and see what we get inside this. I was really happy when I took a look that everything seems to be complete and in good shape. I guess we'll start off here first. Just a small little sprue with your clear part, the tiny little windshield there, and the lenses for the headlights on the clear sprue, and that's basically it for that. But here's the really nice part. This is the brass colored chrome plated parts, which there's a lot of it, which is really going to make this model pop. That's going to look beautiful next to that red. I'm going to paint this in a really bright fire engine red and put a really slick, real high gloss clear coat on this and polish it all out and everything, make it look real slick. But you got all these little details here, the radiator, as I said, the little hose couplings that are actually the ends of the headers, the windshield frame, the headlights, the gear drive system on the underneath of the vehicle, all the handrails around the back, the valve covers on the engine, the intake manifold on the engine. It's just going to be really, really fun to work on this, so I'm really looking forward to getting started on this one. And I was happy, like I said, to find one that was all in good shape like this. Let's pop. I haven't taken these parts out of the bag yet, but let's do that for you guys now. I've got some ideas as far as what I want to do on the paint job on this and stuff. We're going to do some gold pinstriping and stuff on it here and there. Highlight some of that. Here you can see we have the first sprue, which is the it's got quite a few parts too. It's not a it's your typical Tom Daniel kit. These kits are not as detailed as a lot of the more modern scale model car kits are, but there's enough there to when you get it all done and do all your paint work and everything, it'll be really nice. But here we have the fender, front and rear fender assembly. Now it might be hard to see on this shot here, but there's these raised line details that run around the fronts of the fenders and over the tops of the backs of the fenders, and that's what I'm going to do a little bit of the gold pinstriping on. And you've got your running boards here that are supposed to be done in a contrasting color. I think they're done in sort of a silver on the model, but I might do mine in gold to match everything else. The back rear bed area of the vehicle has some nice simulated wood paneling, so I'm going to do that in some nice dark wood and put a nice gloss coat on that. I don't want that to look beat up. I want that to look really nice. This is supposed to be like a show rod vehicle, not an old beat up vehicle. You could build this as a beat up version if you wanted to, and that'd probably look pretty cool too. But I want to do this as a really slick looking show piece. And here you got your fire extinguisher. Here's the hose that goes on the side. You've got the two-piece rims here on this particular sprue. These are the front wheels. Then here we have some more. These are the side panels for the rear box. It has the old style straight axle, drop axle in the front, which didn't make for good handling, but it was really sturdy and rugged like a lot of the old work trucks were. Here's the ladder assembly, the chain drives, which we're going to have to do some metallic painting on those, the axle and stuff like that. Firewall, the side panels for the engine cowling, covering area. Here's the engine block, which is, I think they're saying this is supposed to be a Ford 289 cubic inch V8 Cobra engine with 2 4-barrel setup on it. You've got the, on this particular model, or this particular kit, you have the transmission already molded to the engine block, so you just glue the two halves together, and that goes back to the gear transfer case where the chain drives go, and then that connects to the rear axle. And here you have the headers, you have the engine cover here, the seat, some really cool deep dish rear wheels, some kind of 5-spoke type rear wheels. I'm not sure what these parts are here. This is the water tank, the side ladder, the seat. These are some spring mounts for the front and rear. Really nice. A little bit of flash on these parts, which was typical for these older kits, but nothing that won't clean up really easy. Here we have the tires, which are made out of the vinyl, and they're actually two-piece. You've got the nice thing about these, at least, is that they don't have the seam running right down the middle. You glue the back wall, like the side wall, on here from the, and you tuck that to the inside, and you barely will even be able to notice that. So we'll clean that up a little bit when we get it put together. Same thing on the front tires. They're, or maybe not. Maybe these are single piece. Yeah, they're single, but I don't see a bad seam in the middle of those at all. They look pretty good. Those are super skinny for the front. But some nice slicks for the back, with the raised Goodyear lettering on there. And then we have the original decal set, which I've read about this kit, that these decals are notorious for crumbling and coming apart because they're old. So I'll be spraying a couple of fresh coats of lacquer, clear lacquer finish over the top of these before I try to use them, and hopefully I can prevent them from getting ruined. And I saw quite a few of the kits out there that were on eBay that were open kits that the decals were missing and everything, and so they have some really nice old-fashioned like script kind of writing here that goes on the hood and on the side, so I want to make sure I get that on there, and I'll do my best to try and save these. But really a really fun little kit, and like I said, I can't wait to start on this one. I always enjoyed all the old Tom Daniel kits. That's why they were so popular. They were fairly easy to build, and the detail on them, and just the cool design that Tom Daniel used to come up with. He'd always, he's famous for putting these little twists on these kind of taking a basic design and just doing some really creative stuff to it and coming up with something totally original. And he was really clever in that way, so that's why his name got so popular out there in the custom car world and scale model kits. Here's the instructions. You can tell these are a little bit old. They're just starting to turn a little bit yellow. But you got some black and white pictures here of the kit. And then these are all these are drawings of the assembly work. Pretty straightforward. You're starting off there, putting the chassis together, putting the fenders on, putting the engine in, going up to the front, putting the axle on, then starting to put on all the small little detail parts. And I'm going to be pre-painting a lot of these parts as we go before I do my assembly. Ending up at the end here with putting the final detail parts at the rear and on the sides. And there's a little bit of information about the decals. So pretty straightforward, but really fun, and it's just nice to go back and revisit these classic old kits from our childhoods and everything. And like I said, it's kind of funny. I never saw this kit before. Didn't even know it existed, and I was looking to do something a little bit different this year. So I'm really glad I was able to find one of these. And like I said, if you really want one of these, be patient. Just keep trying your luck. You're gonna notice that it's gonna be hard to get one. A lot of people seem to be interested in it, whether they're collectors or they're actual model builder guys out there. But you'll be fighting a little bit of a battle, competing with other people trying to get it. So if you see one pop up on there for a buy it now, and if it's anything under $30, I would highly recommend grabbing it, because I've seen these kits go for $50, $60, $70. Kind of amazing that I remember these kits being on the shelf back in the day for $4.99. But you think about it, even a modern day model kit. I just bought a 124 scale or 125th scale kit of the Lawman by AMT, the '64 Plymouth, and that kit was $30. So to get a vintage kit like this, it's really hard to find for under $30. That's a heck of a deal. So there you go, guys. There's the fire iron, and you guys will see this getting built up on my regular YouTube channel. Like I said, you can head over to Dirt Pit's YouTube channel, or you can go over to the Classic Plastic 101 Hangout on Facebook, and you just basically drop a line over there saying that you want to join the group build, maybe post a picture of the model that you want to build, But you can go to Dirk Pitt's YouTube channel. He's got a video he just put out recently introducing the group build, and he gives you all the information during that video about how they would like people to sign up, and where you post pictures of your model either while you're working on your updates or your final finished pictures. And they're going to do I think Dirk was talking about putting together a slideshow or something like that and showing that on his channel a little bit later when everybody's done. So that'll be really cool. So thanks to Dirk and Chris for putting that on again this year. Always a lot of fun. Okay, guys, another break. We'll come back and we're going to bring out the big Star Destroyer kit. That's going to take up our whole screen here. Be right back, everybody. Okay, everybody. Well, we're back again, and here you can see we've got the huge. Am I out of focus here? There we go. We have the huge Revell 1/2700 scale Imperial Star Destroyer kit. This particular Star Destroyer has been rendered and modeled after the version of the Star Destroyer that we see in the Force Awakens. So it's got a few subtle changes that were made to it. If you're a diehard Star Wars person, you'll know that it has a few subtle changes to it, different than it appeared in the original films. But they're pretty minor. I mean, overall, it looks like the old familiar Star Destroyer that we're familiar with. And I this kit was released, I guess a while ago now, several months, almost a year ago now, by Zvezda, which is a Russian company. And when these kits first came out, they were kind of hard to get. People were having trouble getting them imported out of the Russian Federation, and shipping was kind of expensive, and it was taking quite a while for the kits to make it. So I kind of held off. I kind of decided I was going to wait, and I heard the news that Revell actually got the license to build or to produce these kits from Zvezda, and I've always liked the Revell instructions and all that. So I decided to wait, and I'm glad I did. I really like this Revell kit. Their instructions are really clear, and of course they're in English, and the original Russian ones are not. But other than that, the kits themselves are identical. They're actually using the Zvezda molds for this Revell kit. And this is the Star Destroyer kit that, if you're a Star Wars fan, that we've all been waiting for. This thing is gigantic. We're going to show you a little bit of the kit here, but I'm not going to do an in-depth review on this because there's been several of those done already over on YouTube, and you can check that out. But I just mainly wanted to talk to you guys tonight about what my some lighting techniques that I'm going to use on this when I build this. Let's go ahead and pop the cover off here. And I'm not sure why we're not focusing down on this properly. Let me see if I can get my hand down there. There we go. Got it back in focus. Sorry about that. But you can see it comes in some beautiful packaging. You got some nice reference shots here of the model when it's completed. You've got the detailed sort of hangar bay or cargo bay or whatever you want to call it, where Princess Leia's ship, the blockade runner, was captured there at the beginning of the original Star Wars film. And then there's a smaller little hangar bay, auxiliary hangar bay up towards the front. But the detail on the surface of this model is just absolutely phenomenal. I was really impressed when I looked at it. Much better than anything that's ever been produced before in a styrene model kit. And they've gone to great lengths to make it fairly accurate. There is now some aftermarket parts becoming available for this. We've heard that Green Strawberry is going to be releasing a set of photo etch parts for it. I've got some of those on the way coming from our good friend Jerry at HDA Model Works that we're going to be using on this build. Some of the details are up here around this area here. Can't quite see that, can you? This area right up in here, there's some photo etch for the bridge details, some other things. And then there's some aftermarket parts for doing the lighting and stuff like that for these. There's some replacement engine exhaust bells that are supposed to be a little bit more accurate or something like that. So I'm going to look into that. If they're not radically better or whatever, I'm probably not going to use them. But if they're really a lot better, I may look into getting a set of those. But we'll see. But the overall model itself is just fantastic. If you just build this model right out of the box, you're not going to be disappointed. It's a wonderful model. So let's have a look. So if you're going to light this model, you're going to be doing a lot of drilling. This particular ship has, literally thousands of light sources coming from it. It's supposed to be represent, being a humongous ship that's, massive in scale, and there's several deck levels and things like that. As you can see, this is a pristine kit. All I ever did was take this out and look at some of the details through the plastic, but I'm going to pop these out of the bags so I can talk about a little bit what I'm going to do here. And this was definitely well worth the wait. Like usual, I don't know where I'm going to put this when I'm done. I'm going to have to get really creative. My model display room is getting really super crowded. I'm getting ready to shoot my end of the year model room tour that I do every year and show you, go back and update everything we did in the last year, and it's getting really thick in there, as you guys will see. But here you can see they even did a nice job with molding in all this extra bracing and everything, so that when the kits were sitting on the shelves or whatever, that this stuff didn't get warped and all that, which I thought was a really nice touch. But all over the area of this particular model, you've got these little raised panels that you see here, which on the leading edge of these, they're supposed to be little windows, little portholes and things like that. So you're going to be doing a lot of drilling, hours and hours and hours worth of drilling, but it'll be worth it in the end. Here we have the laser cannon emitters here, which went back and checked on that. Those are supposed to be, whenever they fired their beams, I think were supposed to be green. So I'm going to, I'm going to do all this with fiber optics, but what a lot of people do with fiber optics is they actually run, the whole length of fiber optics, and they'll have an emitter somewhere inside the model, and all these individual fibers will all connect to this one emitter, and you may have to use, in a case like this, you may have to use several to get all the different sections of the lighting lit up and everything. Well, as I've mentioned several times, I'm not a really big fan of that particular method, because I worry about over time the fibers getting brittle and things like that, and maybe they could crack or break or whatever, and then you'd start losing some of your lighting because you're depending on that lighting to travel the whole length of that fiber optic and everything. So one of the things that I learned, and has worked well for me over some of the model kits that I've lit, is I've just used fiber optic, but just put really short little segments of it in there, just enough so it goes through and pokes through the hull, and then just put some strip lighting down in there using some LED strip tape or LEDs or whatever you want to use, and let those little short lengths of fiber optic pick up that light, and it works really well, and it'll bring it to the surface the same as using the the standard method of using those long strands hooked up to an emitter. You just have to flood the interior with a little bit more lighting in order to make that work. And so that's what my plan is going to be for this. You can see this is the bottom. And so what I'll be doing here is I'm going to come in and put several strips of fiber optic. You know, most of the lighting on this area here is along the edges. You know, you got these little walls on the side. So I'm going to actually take my fiber or my LED strip and I'm going to lay it on its side and glue it on its side along the sides here and have it pointing towards all this. And so when I put my sidewall on there, I'll have all my holes drilled in that. And what I'll be able to do is I'll be able to assemble the model basically and then come back with a small, I haven't worked out yet what scale I'm going to use as far as my, or you know, what's diameter fiber optic I'm going to use, but I have a pin vise tool here, which this particular one can hold, you know, drill bits that go down to so small that they're almost like as small as a human hair. This has a, you know, one of these, it has the chuck in here that you can, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have the same one, but you can flip this over. It's got one side that's got, you know, kind of your standard size bits, and then this other one here, it'll go down to like really tiny. So I want to make sure I keep my lighting, you know, in scale on this. I don't want the lights to be too big, and so I haven't determined that yet. I'm going to have to look and see, and I'm getting kind of low on fiber optics here, so I'm going to have to determine what size I want, and then I'm going to order a bunch of that. And I noticed on this particular ship that, you know, some of the windows are really small and some of them are a little bit bigger. When you start getting up around here, like on the top area where the bridge and all the stuff is, some of these lights up here are a little bit bigger than the lights that are, for example, on these little raised areas right here on the edges. They are really super tiny. So we'll be working with a couple of different diameters of fiber optic, and I'll when I start building this, I'll do updates or whatever, and I'll tell you what I'm using and everything. And everybody has their own way of doing it, but you know, everybody wants to share what they're doing, so I'll give updates about what I'm doing here. And no one way is the absolute way either. Everybody has a different way of doing it. So, but my way that I'm going to do it it's worked for me in the past, so I'm going to kind of stick with that. We're gonna, you know, there's no clear parts here. There's some lighting that needs to go on in this this bay down here. So one of the tricks that you can use for doing lighting like that is you can come on the back side here and you can start shaving this plastic down a little bit thinner, and you can get light to pass through that. You know, you simply when you do that, you put your paint on there really light with an airbrush or whatever, and your light will go right through that. So that's we're gonna put some fiber optics in there. There's some individual pinpoints of light that are supposed to be in here, but like these little ports along the sides and stuff like that, they're supposed to be just kind of backlit, you know what I mean? So we'll be able to shave this plastic down. We'll put some LED strip on the you know, the area above it, basically on this part here facing downward, and that will light that area up. Same thing on the little smaller auxiliary one that they have here at the front. We'll do the same thing. We'll shave that down a little bit and we'll get light to pass through that. Maybe put a couple little points of light in there with some fiber optics and stuff. And then all along these side walls. So basically what you can do is you can build the model, and then you can come back and start doing all your drilling when you're done, and you can put all the fiber optics in from the outside if you follow what I mean. You have all the holes drilled there. You just take, what I usually do is I'll have a little puddle of, I use just regular Elmer's glue, this stuff right here, because it's non-toxic and it won't attack the fibers, and it doesn't dry super fast. So I can take and cut my little, cut lengths just long enough where they'll slide inside the model, and I'll usually do that when I've got the lighting. I'll have the model sitting here with the lights turned on, so that when I push the fiber in there, I'll be able to tell if I push it in far enough when it lights up. You'll see it light up. If it's not long enough, it won't light up. And then if I see that, I'll just have to cut a little bit longer piece. But I'll just go around the whole model just pushing those in. Dip it in glue and then just push it in and push it in until it's flush, and then that's it. After it dries, that glue will hold them all in place and you're good to go. And that way you don't have to worry about masking them or leaving them extra long and then having to try to cut them off after you're done, and you don't sometimes get them cut flush and they look, you see little stubs sticking up and stuff like that. So it's a really slick and simple way to use fiber optics, and it works really well. So it's something, it's kind of an alternative method that you might want to consider, and it's a lot less time consuming than than running all these, like I said, all those individual strands and trying to get them. The other thing I like about that is that, if you've got a single LED or a couple of LEDs that are lighting up, you're depending on one LED to light up. Let's say one LED with all these strands, running to, let's say you got a couple hundred of them for the windows on the side here or something like that, or maybe both sides. If that LED quits over time, that lighting is all gone, because that's all depending on one source of the lighting. Because uh, if the fiber optics are terminated right up against that emitter, and they're obviously leading to the outside, they won't pick up the light. Fiber optics doesn't pick up the light from the sides very well. It has to come in through the tip. So you could lose an entire section of lighting on a model, where if you've got several strips of this LED tape down in here, which the LED tape has gotten so cheap anymore, and I should say not cheap, but inexpensive. Um, you can use a lot of it, and it's little 1 amp power supply will be more than enough to power all that. So and then we'll probably use regular LEDs here at the back for the big engines in the back. Probably some flickering type LEDs or something like that. But so just like I said, it's just a different way to think about it, and I think it'll work out pretty good. Now let's see, on the top piece here, where we have these laser emitters, I'm going to do these. I'm going to use 4 individual green SMDs on the back side of these, and I'm going to put fiber optics in those, so those are lit in green. And I may talk to Ralph at Tenna Controls and see what he can come up with, and see if we can do a little board that using his little remote control board. He's got a really I've showed it to you guys before. He's got a really nifty little remote control board that has 4 output channels on it, and a little kind of a key fob looking thing that's got 4 little buttons on it, and it works on Bluetooth technology, so you can be really far away from it and it'll still work. And I may have him set up something where we get our laser firing effect here and some sound to go with it, and maybe the sound of the star drive or something like that, and who knows. But we could do a little remote system and have everything contained inside this. Now, like a lot of people are going to do, I'm going to put an onboard battery in this. I'm going to use a lithium-ion battery, rechargeable battery, and use some magnets so that this whole section here, if I can find this top piece, let's see if we can find that. There's a separate piece that goes on here on the top that starts to form all the superstructure. And what a lot of people are doing are they're using the magnets, and they're because this fits together really good, and you don't get a lot of light leaks out of it. But we'll have to see how that goes. But we may have to do some, build up the edges a little bit with some styrene or something, so that when it's down on there, it seals up really good and it doesn't leak light, because we don't want that. But I want to leave this center part open so I can have my battery in there and my control board. I can get to it. And so when the model is sitting somewhere, because I may decide to hang this model up, I don't know, but it'll be self-powered, and then I can just have my remote, and from standing from 5 feet away, I can push the button and turn everything on and make my sound effects or fire my laser cannons or whatever. Got to have that fun kind of toy effect. We're just big kids at heart here, but so that's kind of the idea behind that. Now, as I said, I'm going to be going around this, just doing a lot of preliminary drilling on these main parts, and I'll see how much I have to do before I begin the assembly. But like I said, using this method here that I'm talking about, you can actually build the entire model and then come in and put in your holes at the very end, drill them out after it's been painted, and then just push your fiber optics into the holes, and that'll work out just fine. So, but anyways, that's the plan for our Star Destroyer, and of course, the usual, doing all the painting and weathering and everything on it, and we're gonna build that up. We're gonna build this up on the regular TrekWorks channel, so you guys can follow along with that. We've got several other ones we're going to be working on at the same time. I've got the UFO kits that I've been shooting the video segments on those, so you guys that are following on the UFO build, I'll have some more to show you on the UFO alien UFO ship that we're working on first, and then we're going to follow that up with the Shadow kind of tank vehicle. That kit is really, really cool. I wanted to save that for the end because that's a really cool kit. And then we'll get into the Star Destroyer after that. So that's what's going to be coming on the channel. So there you go, guys. There's the Star Destroyer. There's our plan, what we're going to do with it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody else is doing with their stuff out there. Get lots of new ideas when you watch all this stuff. So, all right, guys, we're going to take a break again, come back for our final segment of the show tonight, which is our shout-outs and our question and answer session. So if you guys have anything you want to ask me or any of the other modelers that are in our chat session tonight, I'll be happy to talk to you guys about that. See you in just a couple seconds. Be right back. Okay, everybody, we're back with you again, and we're going to head over to our live chat session now and see who's on with us tonight and do our shout outs and our question and answer session. Let's see who's here tonight. Let's see. Hopefully the broadcast worked well tonight. We had YouTube has made some new upgrades on their streaming menu that hopefully I got through without having any problems. Let's see what resolution we're running at. Yeah, looks like we're at 720, so we're good to go. Okay, rolling up to the top of the chat here, we've got, let's see, oop, it's not letting me go all the way to the top here for some reason. There we go. Okay, we got Jim Clark here with us tonight. We got Mike Kovach, Dan Harris, Omska, I think that's how you pronounce it, Barrick 13, Heath Tompkins. Oh, we've got, yeah, I see we got some problem here. Let me fix this real quick. Okay, yeah, we had somebody. Every once in a while we get somebody drop in that's a troublemaker, so we just get rid of them. Okay, we got Barrick 13, Tagamo Model Works. Nice to see you, Tag. Tag's taking part in our Star Wars Group Build 2, and Armando is, I think, Tag is going to be building the new Bondi Perfect Grade Millennium Falcon kit, so that's going to be really fun to follow along with. There might be a few people doing those. Dan Harris. I got Chuck Brooks. Space Pirates Hobby. Shannon Freeman, Modeler X. T Commando. Leona Timber Company. Dadnator 24. Sorry I didn't catch the troublemaker in there earlier, guys. I would have booted him a long time ago, but I I can't see the chat when I'm doing the show, so not until we get to the very end here. So hopefully it didn't cause too much problems. If we get people in here like that, guys, the best thing to do is just ignore them. If you start talking to them, that's exactly what they want, and they're gonna really get it stirred up. So just ignore them, and a lot of times they'll go away. And I try to catch them, as soon as I can. But he's gone now. We've got, let's see, Rob Pausa's in with us tonight. Thomas Johnson, Armando Della Cabada, Mark Shue, Modeler X, Dadnator 24, T Commando, Red Shirt Forever, got Adam Corville, Triskelion. Nice to see you, Adam. Missed you the other night. So I heard you were on the chat or the video chat the other night. Hopefully you'll catch up with you sooner or later. PJC 2.0. Jabberwocky. And let's see, I think I got down to the bottom there. So yeah, if you guys are in here, make sure you type something in the chat so we get you a shout out in here. I don't want to miss anybody. James Schulenberg, how you doing tonight, James? Eric Hawkins, nice to see you, Eric. Hope it's not getting too cold for you up there in Maryland yet. Ken Spriggs. Outsider 238. Ashley 389100. Aussie Old Fart 1956. Glad to have you on with us. TJ Blackwell. George Volkowski. Oh, good. Chris was on with us for a little while. Yeah, that's good to see Chris. Nice to see Chris getting in some time on his bench. I'm a subscriber to his channel, and he's been doing some videos lately. That's really nice to see. And again, I'm really happy to take part of the in the Tom Daniel group build. And I see Kenny with Sci-Fi Fantasy is with us tonight. Nice to see you, Kenny. Yeah, no problem on the shout out, buddy. Glad to do it. Hope you get a really good turnout for that this year for the Model of the Year contest. As I said, guys, at the top of the show, we showed you a little look at Kenny's website there. Hop over there if you haven't been there before. Check it out. Join up. Tell others about it, especially if you're into sci-fi. There's some really, really great stuff over there. Kenny always updates it regularly, and he's got a lot of people that are helping contribute content over there. We've got Bobby Bridenthal. Nice to have you on with us, Bobby. Thanks for checking us out. Glad you're here with us. You'll see we got a nice, real nice group of people that hang out in the chat session every night. So looking forward to that. Pierre Fontaine. Nice to have you on board with us tonight. I think we got a couple of new guys tonight. Everybody give them a nice warm welcome. Todd Davies. Mike Mitchell. Steve F. Nice to see you, Steve. I apologize if I act or sound kind of goofy yet tonight, guys. I'm still on some pretty strong meds for the. I was fighting a heck of a. I wound up starting off with a cold, and then it turned into a really bad sinus infection. I don't know if you guys have ever had one of those, but it's it got pretty nasty, and they put me on some pretty strong stuff. Painkillers and some antibiotics, and I'm going to have to go in and get some minor surgery done on my sinuses a little bit later on this year. In the first of the year, they told me it's just going to be an outpatient thing, so I hopefully won't miss much time away from the bench. But I've been fighting that off and on for years, and it seems to come around some years really bad, and then sometimes I don't get it. But I'm just kind of getting tired of it. So the doctor told me that they could probably make me feel like a new man if I had that surgery. I think I'm going to do that. If any of you guys have ever had a battle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You get a headache that's so bad you can't basically stand doing anything except sleeping. It gets pretty bad. Got Mike P, who says he's a long-time fan and first-time commenting. Nice to have you with us tonight, Mike. Federation Shipyard like the Star Destroyer kit. Yeah, that is quite a kit, Dennis. It's fantastic. It is the Star Destroyer kit for now until somebody comes up with something better. Yeah, good point there, Rob. He says last episode I was Count Boyd and now I say I'm sounding goofy. Yeah, we have fun with the Count Modeler thing. I hope none of my relatives or anybody sees that. I'll never get. They'll never let me hear the end of it. Yeah, that's Dan. That's exactly what it is. It's yeah, but they say it's not a big deal. They've got it pretty well perfected, and they said they can get it, and they said that you literally will feel like a new man when it's done. So, and Ash Schultz, yeah, that what you're saying there at the very end of your comment, that's exactly what I have too. It happened a long time ago. Kind of figured it out. I was used to play a lot of basketball, and I ran into a guy, and I I didn't realize it, but I broke my nose at the time, and that's part of what they got to fix. It took it started getting worse over time, and that you just don't know it doesn't happen right away. It's not a big deal. They're telling me that it's a really easy, not a risky kind of surgery at all. I'll be glad to get it over with actually. Daniel Jumper checking in with us. PJC 2.0. I know the group build is on the Star Wars, but can we add other sci-fi models to the group build? Only if it's Star Wars. If you're doing it as part of the group build, it has to be something from Star Wars. You can build as many Star Wars kits as you want, but it's for the group build. It's got to be Star Wars. But if you're just building models, you can post all the models you want on our Google page. Uh, we're fans of everything over there. Red Shirt Forever says he is doing a static model of the Horta egg from Devil in the Dark, the original Star Trek episodes. Does anybody have any suggestions for a good color I can paint the ball to give it that pearl effect? Um, I would have to go back and look at that Red to see what that looked like. I don't really remember. I think it wasn't some kind of a goldish color or copperish color. I don't think there's much chance of a movie career there, Armando. um, yeah, but getting back to that question, you should be able to just take like um, if it's kind of that gold color that I remember. What I would do is I'd spray a base coat of some kind of gold that you like on that, and then I would get some of that iridescent gold that you can get from that McKinsey taxidermy paint, the ones that the same kind of paint that we're all using on the when we're painting the Enterprise refit, and I would just use an airbrush and I would just dust some of that on there over top of the regular gold, or maybe go with a slightly different color gold for your base color and then lightly dust on some of that iridescent gold and then put a clear coat over the top of that so it gave it a little bit of depth. And I think that would give you that pearl effect that you're looking for, something really close to it. But somebody pay attention in the chat here. Somebody else might chime in and give you another idea too. Uh, Heath Tompkins is building the Force Awakens Millennium Falcon. Is that the 144 scale, Heath? Ash Schultz is asking about taking apart old model kits. Well, Ash, a lot of people have had success. You take that model and you stick it in the freezer, believe it or not. Stick it in your freezer and let it sit overnight. And that makes the glue turn really, really brittle. And a lot of times people have been able to break those back apart and not break the parts themselves. I've never personally tried that, but a lot of guys in the communities and forums and everything have said it works like a charm. Daniel Jumper, the question to that for me is absolutely yes. I would buy a Cygnus model kit, 3 foot. I'd like to see it a little bit bigger than 3 feet, but I would definitely buy that, and I can guarantee a lot of other people would too. There were some people putting together a kit in studio scale on the what's that big 3D printing place that everybody gets their 3D printed parts from? Shapeways, or is that what it is? But anyway, there were a couple different people over there collaborating on putting together different people were working on different kits or different parts of the kit, but no one was coordinating together, and it all got all screwed up. And but they had people interested like crazy. I mean, I wanted to buy it. I wanted the studio scale uh, Cygnus, but I would certainly be interested in a. I mean, because all we have is we have that crappy MPC. I shouldn't call it crappy, but it leaves a lot to be desired model of the Cygnus. And that kit now is so rare and so hard to get, and it's not really that accurate that it's not really worth it. But yeah, I'm sure you'd have a lot of people, especially if you got the word out. I can't speak for everybody, but I know several guys in the groups I hang around with that would be definitely interested in something like that. So I think that's a model that's way long overdue. It's one of my favorite. I'm as big a fan as that design as I am the Enterprise. I think that's a fantastic ship. And then maybe an in scale Palomino to go with it, that you could mount on the wherever it landed, that docking thing on the top of the Cygnus. Yeah, Clint Llewellyn has the MPC Cygnus he's been working on. Now, what people were doing with that kit was that everybody says that it's too short. Like there's a whole segment of that, that big center section of that that's missing. So back in the day, what people were doing, they were buying two of those um, MPC kits and putting them together and then making it look a lot more accurate. But try to find even one of those kits now and not pay $150 for it. They've gotten so rare. So yeah, I hope someday somebody comes up with a kit for that. T Commando's asking about any suggestions for canopy glue for filling light leaks. I use it all the time, Commando, or even Elmer's. Or there's that stuff a lot of guys are using out there called Tulip. If you've heard of that, it's like a fabric dye, but it's kind of thick like paste. Comes in a squeeze tube, and they make it in black, so you can put it on there and let it dry and then paint over it. But I use a little plastic syringe, like one of those baby medicine syringes, for putting medicine in a baby's ear or whatever. Um, I suck up a little bit of that Elmer's or canopy glue, and I go along where I see a little light leak or something like that, and I shoot it in there and let it dry, and then I just airbrush over it, and that takes care of my light leaks. Lately, I've been using a lot of this stuff right here, this little Vallejo putty, which has a really tiny applicator tip on it. You can see there, and that works good for light leaks too, because you can put a fine bead of it along the seam or whatever it is, and it smooth it out with a Q-tip or something like that. You don't even have to sand it, and it dries nice and hard, and it's fairly thick, so light doesn't go through it at all. Where light will go through that glue a little bit, you might have to put one or two coats of paint on it to cover up the leak. Where this, one light coat of paint over it and it's gone. there's different ways you can do that. But lately, I've been using a lot of this stuff. Yeah, Ash Schultz. Yeah, that's that freezing actually really does work. A lot of people have had good success with that. It makes if it's been if that model's been put together with regular model glue, and somebody didn't use some kind of like really super strong stuff, that will work. It should come apart. Ken Spriggs, can we enter builds that are complete? Well, I suppose you could, Ken, but the whole point of the group build is to everybody building along together at the same time. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's what we're really looking for as far as models that are already built. The whole idea of these group builds is it's not a contest or anything like that. Some people mistake that, people are trying to outdo each other and things like that. That's not what these group is. Anyways, that's not the way I look at them. I mean, maybe some people do, but um, it's everybody getting together on the same kind of similar subject and building the model and sharing what you do along the way so that you're passing along, ideas and tips and tricks to other people that may not be as advanced as you are or as experienced as you are. And, that just kind of helps the community overall. And to me, that's what these group builds are really about. And then seeing where, for example, 5 people can build the same model and all 5 of them built it a different way, and in each way that you build it is a good way to build it, but it's just different than the way somebody else built it. So it gives other people new ideas where maybe they want to combine all 5 of those different ideas together and make it, the way they did it or whatever. So that's really what we're kind of looking for. But we'd love to see models that you've already built. If you've got some models you've already built, we always love seeing pictures of built models on our just posted on our regular page. Ash Schultz, a lot of people do that. A lot of people already do that in the modeling community where, molding and recasting parts in resin. That's a common practice. People like to build or make backups of their parts or modify the parts, or sometimes you need parts that are in clear so you can light them, stuff like that, where they don't come that way out of the kit. Dad Nair's asking about my website. It's not really, unfortunately, Dad. I just never seem to have enough time. As I've said several times, my son was kind of helping me on it, but he's busy too. He's working all the time, and I've got so much work here in the shop with my client work that I just can't sit down. Uh, I will say that coming up pretty soon here, you guys are going to see. I've been working with Jerry at HDA Model Works, and a lot of the stuff that I was going to have on my website is going to be on Jerry's website instead because Jerry's already got it going. We're going to start doing some of those soundboards there, um, some model building guides for the 350 Enterprise and the Enterprise refit, and maybe one on the Jupiter 2 from Mobius, and a few things like that. So some of the stuff that I was talking about doing on my website, we're going to do it on Jerry's website because he's already got it up and going, and Jerry's and I already kind of have this relationship, where I'm kind of listed on his website over there already. So that's what we're going to be doing, and you'll be seeing that stuff coming pretty soon. We're gonna put out a whole bunch of. For me, it was difficult to. I get all kinds of orders for these soundboards and everything, but it's kind of onesie twosie, and it's kind of hard for me to be doing my regular stuff and then stopping and doing these. So what I decided to do is I decided I'll sit down and I'll build a whole bunch of those things. We're going to have like 5 different ones to start with that seem to be the most popular ones. The one on the TOS Enterprise, the refit, the bridge. Uh, I'm thinking about doing a Battlestar Galactica, classic Battlestar Galactica board for the Viper, and maybe for the Cylon Raider. And if people are interested, I might do one for the the more new Battlestar Galactica, maybe for that Raptor kit that's out there. But we're gonna have like 5 basic boards to start with, and then depending on what people want. But that way, and they'll be over on Jerry's website, and you'll order it from him. It'll be the same prices that I was charging for them, but Jerry will have them all in stock, and he'll be able to ship them out right away and all that stuff. And so we just think that that'll work out a lot better. And Jerry he's got his shipping stuff all down pat and everything like that. Me, I have to go over to the post office and ship all this stuff individually and everything, and my post office is kind of far away, and they got one really small here. They've got one really small post office for like a huge neighborhood. So whenever you go over there, you're in line for like an hour and a half. And as busy as I am in the shop these days, I just simply don't have time for it. It kills me if I go over there and spend half my day doing that. So we're gonna get it worked out, and we'll um, we'll get we'll get that going, and hopefully that'll keep people happy, because I get a lot of requests for that original Enterprise soundboard, more than I can keep up with. So yeah, I did get your email, Dad. I've got your stuff ready to go. When I see you, I think you told me you weren't in a big hurry for it, so maybe when you come down for the show this year, we'll just give them to you then, and you can take them back with you. Save some shipping. But if you need them before then, just let me know. Let's see. Yeah, we've for those of you who don't know, there was a big model show here in San Antonio in February. Boy, I forgot the date already again. I think it's either the 17th or the 18th of February. It's on a Saturday. No, it's actually on a Sunday. Um, so we're going to um, a bunch of people from the forums or and the group here are going to come down. We've got Ralph from Tenant Controls. I think Jerry said he's going to make it. I think Armando is talking about coming down. We've got Cal Sweet. I've heard from several people. So the plan is that we're gonna, and then of course Dad Nader, Rick there, he's coming, and he's got his friend. I don't know if he said, is Tony coming with you again this year, Rick? Um, but anyway, we're gonna have a lot of people, and the plan is we're all gonna hang around at the model show that day, and then we're gonna come back here afterwards, and we're gonna broadcast the show that night, and everybody's gonna be here as a guest in the shop for our model shop show that night. So we're gonna have we're I'm gonna have a hard time figuring out finding enough chairs for everybody to sit in. Yeah, it's on February 17th. Um, so we're looking forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I think we're all gonna go to the show, then go out to dinner, and then after dinner we'll come back and gather up over here, and you guys will get to see everybody that you're used to chatting with on the show, or in the chat session. They'll be here in the shop. I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys aren't expecting too much of a shop here. It's just a garage where I build models. It's nothing fancy, guys. But it'll be fun to hang out. Yeah, and it's an awesome show. It's an IPMS sanctioned show. It's one of the bigger shows that you'll see, and so it'll and you'll see some fantastic models. There'll be some fantastic deals on the model kits that are for sale over there from all the vendors. You'll find the newest kits, and you'll find a lot of classic vintage kits over there too. Lots of modeling tools, paints, tools. Glue, airbrush, compressors, anything you can think of. That's right, Barek. It's about the people, not the shop. Like I said, it's just a garage I'm working in. It's nothing fancy. I don't live in a big fancy mansion or anything like that. It's just a regular house. I know a lot of people said they wanted to see the model display room, so we'll check that out and everything. And should be a lot of fun. And hopefully this will be a yearly deal. We'll do this every year, and hopefully it'll get bigger and bigger, and we might have to have it in a convention hall eventually. Who knows? Then there's several local people in San Antonio that I know that I usually don't see all year until the show, so you guys will get to meet them too. Rick will tell you that we had a couple of guys from local here that hung around with us that day last year, and we all got along really good and had a lot of fun. It might be, Eric. But yeah, the nice thing is my shop is I mean, guys, I'm a stone's throw down the street from where they have the show. I'm kind of hoping they don't move it. They have it in an old Kmart building. Last year it was kind of funny. Rick will tell you when we were walking around the show, they were doing, um, they had seminars going on during the day, and then when they got towards the end, just before they started having the awards ceremony, they were playing videos on the big screen, and we were looking up, and they were playing some TrekWorks videos. I don't remember which ones they were, but I was like, oh man, yeah, yeah, we all had a lot of fun. So yeah, we can come back over here after it's over and wind down a little bit and get to talk to everybody on the show about what they thought their experience was like and what they saw and everything. Should be a lot of fun. Gonna be hard to fit everybody in the picture here. We're gonna have to crowd in pretty tight. Find out who the real camera hogs are, the real hams. Yeah, there's Barek. This is a military town, and there's plenty of not only San Antonio International, but there's plenty of small little airports around here. Private, you can fly a private plane in. You shouldn't have any problem at all with that. And if you get anywhere near Highway 410, you just take 410 west, and you'll be over to where we are in a jiffy. Anybody that needs specific information about it, I'll put this in the chat if you're thinking about it. Go to this website, alamosquadron.com. That's the local um, modeling club that sponsors the show or administers the show, but it's an IPMS sanctioned show. And go to their website and click on Model Fiesta. They have a tab on there, and you can find out they have all the information on there about where it's held, what time it's held, and all the hotel information. So if you're going to stay, some of the people are coming in. I think some of the guys are coming in on Friday. So they're going to want to stay at a hotel and all that. So they have all the information on there, the visitor information and everything, so you can find out everything you need to know there. They've been they've been working on it every year. They're trying to get the IPMS Nationals here, and if they did, that would be fantastic. This show is only for one day, but if they had the Nationals, they said it would probably be for 3 days. Okay, guys, does anybody have? I don't know if I missed anything. I hope I didn't miss any questions or anything. Ash Schultz has got another question. Anybody have a good reference for the Deep Space Nine for a painting guide? Ash, if you do some research on like a Google search, you'll find that there are some really good high resolution, clear photos of the original prop when it was for sale at the Christie's auction a few years ago. And it's in regular lighting, it's in a regular fully lit room, so you're not seeing it through a camera lens or anything like that. Or, I mean, a studio where they tint it or do any special effects to it. And you can clearly see all the colors that are on that. That's a really good reference for that. They had some really good pictures of that model there. That's another kit that I have in my stash. I have the clear version of that kit, and I want to get around to building that. PJC is asking about the 2001 models. Yes, I'm waiting. I've got my pre-order in on the Discovery. Which, by the way, that kit should be out this month sometime, guys. That's what we're hearing. Jerry is going to have those kits available at his website. And I'll bet you his prices will be very competitive. I think they're talking around 140 something dollars retail on that, which is not too bad. Robert Morris got to check out. Dad, no, I'm not going to do the barbecue. I thought it would be a lot easier and everything if we just went out to eat. There's a really great place that's right in between the the show and my shop. It's called 54th Street. It's like a barbecue place, but they have a good menu. I mean they have something for pretty much anybody. I mean they have regular food, they have barbecue, they have it's really good. Because I started thinking about that, and I'm telling you, like we know. I mean, you were there last year. At the end of the day, when that show's over, you are beat, and I know I'm not going to feel like coming here and cooking for another 3 or 4 hours, and it'll probably be getting dark anyway. So I changed my mind about that. We'll just all of us will go out and eat. That way, people who don't like barbecue can get what they want and all that, and we'll have dinner, and then we'll come back over here and come and do the show. So the show might be a little bit later than it usually is that night. We'll just have to see what time we get out of there. I think we got out of there last time about 5 o'clock or something like that when the judging was done. And then it'll take, a good hour and a half to eat. So yeah, we might be a little bit late. So unfortunately, the guys over in England and stuff that watch our show, man, might not be able to see. They can always watch the rerun, but I think it'd be fun to do it live with everybody here. TJ Blackwell. Yes. If somebody hasn't answered that for you already, it's lighting. Where do I get my lighting supplies from? I'll type that in the chat for you here if somebody hasn't already. It's did it go in? Yep, it went in. If you see that website right there, that's where you can go there and you can get anything you need, and you won't find any better prices. That's kind of the go-to website for a lot of us that are doing this kind of stuff. Yeah, the show is on Saturday, but we're gonna do our show here that night anyway. Not gonna do it on Sunday. I don't know how many people are going to or had plans to stick around all day Sunday, and I have stuff to do on Sunday too, so we'll have to do it all on Saturday. But it'll be a fun day. Like I said, well, we're going to be worn out by the time it's over with, guys. Trust me, that's a long day of hanging out over there because you're walking around all over the place and it's exciting. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff you're kind of concentrating when you're staring at stuff, and it just for me, it just mentally, it just wears you out by the end of the day. I took too many models over there last year and put them in the show. We did really good, but I'm only going to take a couple this year. It's just too much. It's just too much time at the end of the day to go pick all around all that stuff up. Yeah, there you go, Rick. That'll work. Yeah, Morando says he's coming in on Friday. I know Ralph says he's coming in on Friday. So we'll find out who's coming in on Friday. Maybe we can all get together on Friday night and hang out or something too. Um, Maybe pick out one of the hotels or something where everybody's, most of the guys are staying or kind of close by and we can all get together over there. I'm sure they got like a lot of those sports bars around here. We can find something to do. Wolfpack. He says he's in San Antonio. Nice to see you, Wolfpack. That's where I'm at. Um, yeah, I would really, I would really have liked to done the barbecue, but yeah, like I said, and with that many people too, that's a lot of work. And I've only got a small, I've got a small pit, and I can't do that much at a time. And I started thinking about that. I thought, you know what? No one's going to feel like doing that by the time we're done. I know I'm not. So if this becomes an annual thing or something, we may be able to line something like that up. Maybe we'll next year or something. We'll do the barbecue on a Saturday or something, and then or no on the maybe on the Friday night if everybody gets in or something like that. We'll see. But I think it'd be easier just to go out and eat. And that way, like I said, they got a great menu over that. You guys will like this place. It's really good. It's like a sports bar, but it's a restaurant. And they got all this really cool uh, memorabilia from all different kind of stuff hanging up from the ceiling. Hanging down. I mean, it's neat just to look around at all the stuff they have in there. Old road signs and old movie pictures and race cars and motorcycles and model rockets and planes and all kinds of stuff hanging from the ceiling. It's really neat. You guys will like it. And that way, everybody can get what they want. Some people aren't into barbecue. Don't ask me why, but there's some people who don't like barbecue. GER66 USA says he's new on here tonight. So welcome. Glad you could join us tonight. Always enjoy having new folks join our chat session. You'll see a lot of nice people in here. It says the YouTube channel has renewed his interest in model building. Well, that's why I do the channel, so I'm glad to hear that. Right, Leona Timber Company. Some people like it, but they can't. It doesn't agree with their system very well. They don't digest it very well. I can see that because some of that stuff can be kind of spicy. Yeah, Brick 13. I will definitely be posting about that as we get closer here. I'll put stuff up on the Google page. Okay, guys, I'm not seeing too many more questions popping up, so I think we're going to call this a wrap here pretty quick. Yeah. Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Really had a good time, and we'll be back a week from next Sunday. So, we're doing this thing every other week. Hopefully, no more interruptions for a while. Sorry about missing the last couple weeks, guys. But and then don't forget, um, we're going to be doing those live hangouts, and so hopefully there's some of you guys out there that are interested in that, and we'll get some of us in there, and we're going to be doing those on Saturday night. So the week that we do those, there won't be a show. But I'm going to put all the information on there about that, so everybody knows what the schedule is and everything. And we'll do those on Saturday nights, and it'll be, I don't think YouTube has changed. I think there's only going to be room for like 10 people in there. Um, but we'll try to get people in there, and then I'll run the chat part so that people can still do the regular chat crowd can come in and chat while we're doing the hangout, so they won't. It's so it won't be like they're missing the regular show. So that'll be a lot of fun, and you come in here and we can give updates on the kits that we're working on. And again, this is going to be for the people that are working on the Star Wars group build. It's not going to be just come in there and talk when you're not working on anything. I mean, not that that's a bad thing, but this the whole idea of it is to show what we're what we're working on, and giving updates and anything we found out about the kits or whatever that we want to share with people and stuff like that. So might get a big crowd, we might not get anybody, but we'll see how it goes. Should be fun though. Okay, guys. Well, we'll see you next time then. You guys have a good week. Hope you guys all had a good Thanksgiving and got to spend some time with your families. That's what that's all about. So uh, enjoy the rest of your evenings, and we'll catch up with you guys in 2 weeks. Until then, happy modeling, everybody. Good night.